Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott Wave update for MANTA. If you watched my previous video, we were somewhere around here, and I said look for this to come up between this area and then collapse. Reason being, we saw this as a B looking for a C wave to the downside. Now we went against my ideal guideline, which was between the 1.236 and 382, and switch probabilities past the 1.618, but not invalidated. Just went against my guidelines, and we didn't close above that level, so it counts. I know it can be frustrating when you're in the middle of that. You're like, should I buy in? It's breaking out, it's breaking out, and then boom, does exactly what you expect. So I would call that pretty much nailing that. Now, there's a couple different scenarios that can be happening here. Now, the first one, if you remember previously, there is another move over here on other charts. So this is technically a three-wave move, which is originally why I shorted from up here before. So one thing to understand, if we have a three-wave move, we can't get back-to-back diagonals on the same degree. So the way this would be considered a diagonal, where we get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is if this is making an A, B, C, and this is all a C wave to the upside, which would take us to about $4.12, and then we collapse, and this is all one large three-wave pattern. So keep that in mind. And it's also not common to get expanded flats. We most likely get zigzags, so I have to consider the fact that, okay, maybe this is literally in the middle of a B wave. That was our A wave down, getting our B and going for further downside. That's my bearish view. And what that would look like is we have a 3 as an ABC, we have our expanded flat as an ABC, and we'd be looking for another ABC here. For our Y wave up to about 353 is the one-to-one extension of this W off our X for our Y at 353, and then we get continuation to the downside. That lines up with the 786 of the move to the downside. So it's going to be an interesting spot. Now, one thing also is this could also be quite bullish. Let me get rid of that. And how that's possible, I know it's very, very, very ugly. I get it. And that is if this is a 1, 2, 1, 2. Extremely long second 1, 2. And then we just absolutely take off from here, right? Get a bunch of nested 1, 2s. Now, I don't know enough about the project to know how much interest it has. I just follow along with the chart on this one. I'll probably look into it a little more for the next video. But that is possible. 1, 2, 1, 2. Obviously, my bias is we're just getting this Y wave and move to the downside, but it is possible. And alternatively, we get a C wave, like I said, ABCs to the upside, but we'd expect further downside after those 5 waves to the upside. So you can see it's a pretty tough, difficult chart. But what's nice is in those two bullish scenarios, is you can see we pivoted right below our huge buy box area I had, and then we rejected and recovered above it really quickly. So I would expect this wave to hold in both those scenarios, if this is a C wave as a diagonal or a 1, 2, 1, 2. So we're getting a pretty nice entry area here, and stop can go at this low. Pretty good risk rewards right there. So I'm going to buy in myself here. This looks complete. This was a nice expanded flat. Take all the short liquidity there, take all the long liquidity here. Think of how many stops were at this level and how many stops were at this level, and just scoop those on both sides. That's why flats are so, or expanded flats are so frustrating. I lose on those as well most of the time. Just very difficult wave to not avoid getting stopped out. So what I'm going to do, also, if this is a three wave here, remember we look between the 618 and the 1-to-1 extension in time to be complete. We usually end up somewhere in the middle, and we've gotten that right here. So just a little more evidence that a bottom's potentially in the short term. So what do we have on the micro? Potential 5 waves complete with what looks like a flat, A, B, making an ending diagonal here, maybe a little tick lower, and then we go. But pretty easy setup. Not quite at the 50, might be even more bullish than anticipated from this area. But yeah, it looks good for a buy in this area. Not financial advice, just what I'm planning on doing. And my stop will go at the low currently. And depending how this pans out, I might leverage up on the breakouts, but we'll see. But yeah, Manta looking good for at least that 1-to-1 for the Y wave. Let me go over that pricing for you. Sorry. Trying to keep the chart as clean as possible. This one's been a lot of labeling. So that 1-to-1 currently at 353. And if we just get that minimum, buy now, stop at the low. Looks like a pretty good almost 4-to-1 currently. And if it's a 1-2, 1-2, this would be another nested 1-2 obviously, and it could really get moving. So I'm biased that this Y is going to happen, but I'm open to both possibilities and looking for 3 waves up in a Y wave. All right, guys, that's it for Manta. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one. And if you want to subscribe to my Twitter, it's at caching_waves. I just repost the videos there if you prefer getting updates on Twitter.